Hello, I'm Janine Paktitam, your host from the Bangkok Post. It's a great pleasure to be with Mr. Tim Covey, the founder and CEO of 8 Inc. Tim's experience design company has helped many global brands transform their stores and enhance the client's experience. Tim, thank you so much for being with me today.
My pleasure.
I believe that retail businesses today are just more than square footage or location. It has proper design, engaging content to truly create unique experience for customers. Could you please tell me how emerging technologies catalyze the changes in the retail sector since the COVID-19 pandemic started?
If you look at the different types of things that were impacting retail before COVID, e-commerce and sort of the initial denial and then the acceptance of technology, it's only been accelerated through the COVID pandemic. And what we're seeing is, I guess, more of an opportunity to bring the two aspects of both physical and virtual components together. And I think that that's where there's probably an opportunity for the most innovation, an opportunity for the most impact. But I think the world has started to move into Metaverse. It's started to transform in many ways. And so when you start to look at where those opportunities are, it's kind of an additional universe that we have now to deal with. And so it's really, I think, evolved dramatically. And not that there isn't still a value for physical engagements with people, but it's really the how and when is the best opportunity for that to occur.
On the other hand, for consumers, how has technology influenced their behavior and needs in retail specifically?
Historically, you didn't have much access to broad-based view of the market. Today you can be searching things simultaneously while you're in the space. You know whether the features and benefits that you're looking for, if you can find them in that location or you have to go elsewhere, if you can find the price you're looking for. It's putting the consumer much more in control. And so that degree of control means you have to start thinking about the way you structure your offer to support that type of engagement.
You touched on the Metaverse a little bit, so now I'm going to dive into this space more. What do you think of the retail experience in the Metaverse? What do clients in the Metaverse want, and how can retail businesses in such space cater to them since it's so new?
There's some phenomenal opportunities. You see a lot of implementation of the thinking that we have in the physical world being applied to the virtual, to the Metaverse. And I think that's somewhat of a mistake, that there's much more possibility than just the three-dimensional world that we live in today available in the Metaverse. And that the real thinking is not to emulate the physical space in that world, but to start to really now think about the potential. And I think there's an opportunity for incredible creativity here. We're not limited by gravity and rain and things like this.
Can you review some examples?
Well, I can't talk specifically about the things we're doing, but if you look at the companies, you see today many companies are buying the land, right? Getting the locations.
Yes.
But we're still kind of thinking about it in an analog way. And I think the mindset has to change from an analog way of approaching the experience. We're not just building space, we're not building physical stores emulating the physical stores in the Metaverse, but we should be thinking about the experience that the customer has with your brand, and that this is a new type of touch point.
Now I want to look at regional and global retail trends. What are you seeing right now, and how can business strategize and adopt these trends accordingly?
It's challenging the number of touch points that they have. The traditional retail stores probably going to go through some rapid transformation in terms of offering things that are relevant enough to get people to come together. You look at some of the things. I think a great example is General Monster, the Korean sunglass company. They're offering things in terms of experience that no other store has ever offered, and as such, they're driving a lot more foot traffic, a lot more engagement, a lot more sales. The shopping centers that they're in China are doing 6 times the revenue compared to the other shopping centers that they're not in. And so, they're using experiential retail as a way to help create value and distinctiveness and word of mouth, all of those things that ultimately will strengthen the relationships between the brands and people.
I love that point. It's this experience. It's not just the products, right? Right.
That's right.
Yeah. I must touch on you designed the first Apple store, and you have decades of experience working with Steve Jobs. So, how has your experience working with Steve Jobs influenced your design thinking?
He was just so brilliant at the way he was going through his thought process, and this idea of having incredible strength in both an analytical and an intuitive side of his way of thinking gave him, I think, insights that most CEOs just aren't actively looking at. It made it difficult to work on one hand, but it was really his thought process was what was at the heart of the experience, and he's informed. If you look at design, most people think design is about shape and form and color and materials, and it certainly is that, but it's ultimately about what does the design do for people, right? It has to have purpose.
Practical.
Yeah, and I think he wanted to make sure that if you're going to create value, you have to be serving a purpose.
What is the most interesting project that you are working on right now?
We're doing an amazing project in Singapore that could be one of the maybe the most important that we've worked on, in the sense that it has the ability to impact the region, to impact people who are particularly strong in creative work, whether it be music or art or design. Okay, this is an incredible place, incredible time to influence positive change.
Wow.
And so I think that this particular project, it's a new type of I can describe it without describing it, but it's a new place.
It's a new venue for something that will bring a lot of people to Singapore.
It'll bring I think the idea of the people who are very strong with creative skills. It'll bring that up in society.
I'm Janine Pakditam, your host. Thank you for watching, and see you next Friday.